Welcome back to the Summer of Me. It has been a long awaited return to podcast life. I started the Summer of Me last March, and so much of my life has dramatically changed since then. I took a long break. I did some different formats of content, and it has just been like on my heart and just in my bones. I can feel it. It's time to come back. So I am so excited to be here. I get DMs at least 4 times a week, 5 times a week. When is the podcast coming back? Can you talk about this? Can you talk about this? So yes, we can talk about all the things. Yes, I'm back. I am just like ready to go all in and share with you guys and like hang out and talk about all the things: motherhood, divorce, dating, relationships, marriage, love, sex, and magic. I mean, let's just absolutely smash all the topics. Shit, we could talk about like fucking sports. I mean, we could talk about babies, puppies. There's no Pokemon cards. I don't care. Fuck around and find out. We can talk about anything you guys want. So here is the life update. I'm going to give you guys a little, very brief life update for those of you that maybe didn't subscribe on my Instagram or just like have been living in the dark ages, or maybe you are coming from previous episodes and you're like, why the fuck did this girl disappear for, 6 months or whatever? So let me just kind of fill you in. I cannot actually remember. I think the last podcast that I shared was like a Christmas episode. So I shouldn't even say 6 months. It's only been 3 months. And basically like where my life stands right now. So for those of you that maybe are newer to the podcast, I've been divorced now for almost 4 years, and I am single. I am dating, which is terrifying, and we're going to talk about it today. And I was in a long distance relationship. I had a boyfriend that you guys probably remember hearing about, like live with us. It ended very badly. In a lot of ways. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself. I grieved a lot. It was a very traumatic experience, if I'm being honest. And I think that I feel like I've always in some form or capacity felt limited on what I could say or what I wanted to talk about or how I presented myself. And this is probably like the first era of my life, aside from what I call my hoe phase, a brief phase after our divorce where I kind of was like unhinged and had to kind of sow my wild oats. Boy, did we sow. I was a fucking farmer. Anyways, but not really. I mean, it could have been worse. I did deliver a pie to a guy once, and he was like having a bad day, and I brought him an apple pie, and he was like, is this a euphemism for something? You guys would actually know who this person is, but I can't say his name. Anyways, I am in my era is so fucking overused, and I'm actually, don't crucify me, but I'm not really a Swiftie, but I'm in this place in my life where I'm like, I'm untapped. I am untaken. Listen, free for the taking, please, for God's sake, somebody. I would love to be in a relationship. I'm a hopeless romantic. I'm a deep feeler, but I also am really trying to approach this part of my life with like open hands, with an abundant mindset, with just an honest heart that like, I truly do believe that God puts desires in our hearts because he already knows like they're coming full circle. And some people are like, the universe gives you these, what you desire, you deserve kind of mindset. And it's really fucking hard. I'm not going to lie. Like sometimes I'm like, I'm going to be alone forever because people are like, you're such a catch. Well, great. I am. But like, I also have 5 kids and now 2 dogs, and I come with a lot, and I don't blame anybody for being like, hey, you're great, but that's a lot to take on. But I'm overall a very confident person. I feel like I deserve love. I have like self-worth, something that I've worked on and we can talk about. However, my biggest insecurity in dating and in this part of my life is actually that like I have this big, robust, chaotic life and family. And it is like this dichotomy of feelings because I love that part of myself. I love that part of my life. Obviously, I'm obsessed with my kids. Most days, I love them. I love being a mom. I feel like I am there's a little boob slip for you. For those of you not watching, sorry. I feel like I am in my like most powerful energy, not to sound woo-woo, but like when I am in motherhood. But it's very hard to go into a dating scene where you're dating people that have never been married, never have had kids, or, they're much older or they're much younger. And you're like, I don't, people are like, well, we have a great connection, but this, and it's like, I can fucking make a matchstick, like have a great connection. Like I can fucking make a teddy bear I can fucking have a good connection with a teddy bear. Like I have the ability to connect with people. I'm a great conversationalist. Like I'm fun to hang out with, whatever, but I have a lot going on. Like I have 3-4 jobs. I have kids. I have sports. I have not my own. I'm an athlete. No, but like there's just a lot going on. And so I imagine like if I put myself in somebody else's shoes that like I might be dating, it's like, ooh, is this worth it for me? Is the risk worth the reward? And that's an insecurity for me. And when I was in my previous relationship, like that was an issue. It was one of those things that it's like, all of this is great, but I don't know if I can be part of this. And I've had to readjust expectations and readjust like how I approach that part of my life, and realize that like I'm not going to be in like the thick of motherhood for forever. But it's part of my life, and it's a massive part of my life. And I can't pretend that it doesn't exist. I don't want to. Like I said, I love that part of myself. I think it makes me unique. I think it makes me interesting. I think it makes me, you know, a complex, capable human, but I understand it's not for everybody. So anyways, that's a little bit of a side note for you, but it's just kind of one of the things that's like top of mind for me these days, as I have started to like re-enter the dating world a little bit. And it's like very vulnerable to go out and like go out with somebody, and then you're like, in the back of my head I'm like, they know I have 5 kids. Are they into that? Are they like, is this just like a hookup? Is this, it's just part of my life. So anyways, we are talking about feelings today, being a deep feeler, and this kind of plays into it. And so I think like from a standpoint of like where I am in my life, I am so different than I used to be. I used to tell my mom all the time, like, I know, no, I not have feelings. Like, I don't have feelings. I was never able to associate myself as a feeler. Couldn't like resonate with my feelings. I couldn't even name them. And I don't know if it's just because I have put myself fucking through hell and back, or if I don't know, but like now I am just like, why do I feel things so deeply? Why do I fucking care so much? Can I please? I'm so chalant. I want to be nonchalant. I really want to care less. Like I do. And I find it very, very, very hard. And in all of these like different avenues of relationships, whether it's dating or friendships or just so many different like parts of my life, I'm like, why do I care so much? I just wish that like I was more casual. I see like things pop up on TikTok, and it's like the best thing that you can do is just let go and like see everything as just like it comes and goes, and I'm like, fuck, dude, listen, I would give my right arm to be nonchalant, but I am the most chalant like bitch you will ever meet. Like I care, I obsess, I think deeply, I overthink, I spiral, crash out, as the kids say. Yo, bro, I'm crashing out. I don't know. I make myself sound like I'm a total mental head case, and to like my probably 3 best friends, I absolutely am. And they sit and listen and are like, yeah, it's okay, it's all right, I'll be fine. But it doesn't come from a place of like psychosis, like I'm going crazy. It comes from a place of like, I love very, very deeply. I have a very small group of people in my life, and I will literally die for them. I care. I think about them. It makes me cry. Like I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I care very, very deeply for those people. And when it comes to like dating and things like that, like you start to be like, okay, I really like this person. And then I start to invest my time in this person. And I start to think about like, how could I love this person the best way that they would want to be loved? And like, and then all of a sudden they're like, hey, I'm not interested. Or like, great, I think you're great, but like, I don't want to have like be around 5 kids. Or, I'm just not looking for anything serious. Oh, fuck you, actually. So it's just been this like really interesting process for me at this point in my life, because again, I never was this way. And it was because I was so closed off. When I was married, I was buried in babies. I didn't know who I was. I didn't allow myself to feel things because it wasn't a safe place to do so. Not because like, to no shade of like my ex-husband or anything. It was just like, I didn't know how to be who I was and express those things. And so I just became this like, this sort of numb human, I guess. And then like, as I've allowed myself to just be who I am, I'm like, fucking shit. I feel so much. I feel I cannot watch an old person eat at a restaurant by themselves without feeling like sick, like absolutely sick to my stomach. I get sad when I see people walking their dog. I feel fucking sad when I walk my dog by myself. I'm like, this is sad. I have a deep loneliness wound. I don't know what it is. I probably could go and figure it out in my therapy, but I don't know. I just like loneliness to me is so sad. Anyways, so I don't know, like I share some of this because I know that some of you are this way, and like people have reached out and stuff. And I think that it's just like this, it is this like beautiful kind of give and take, because there is this like catch-22 where it's like I love so deeply, which allows me to create very deep friendships. It allows me to be an incredible mother. It allows me to like have empathy for my kids and my family, and um you know, it like allows for me to hopefully like make people feel seen and to be vulnerable, because I care for people to like, you know, feel like they're not alone and all these things. Wow, I didn't really realize this was going to be such a teary episode, but it presents like so many challenges, because I start to feel certain things and I'm like, man, this is heavier than it needs to be, or like this is taking more like emotional energy than it needs to be. And so I have been like really, really, really trying to like reprogram, not necessarily reprogram, like to change, because I do like love that part of myself. I give love very, very freely and very deeply. And like, if I love somebody, I mean, I will go to the ends of the earth to like figure out ways to make them feel loved, whether that's physically, whether that's emotionally, like whether it's like acts of service, any, like I behave that way because I love to make people feel loved. And it's like, it's just, how I was created. Anyways. And so but there's ways that like, I'm trying to work through it so that it's not like, it doesn't dictate like how I operate, or I'm working on trying to find different ways to be able to cope and move through it and just like become a stronger version of myself. It's like, oh yes, I feel deeply and I have these emotions, but like I also have shit to do. I have money to make. I have kids to raise. I have a life that like needs to be lived fully. And so like feeling too deeply is a curse. And so I'm like I said, it's a blessing and a curse. So one of the things that like I really am working on is detachment. So detachment, this is like an excerpt from something. I don't actually know what it is, but I have it written down like in my notes that I've kept for as I've been like working through this. Detachment is based on the premise that each person is responsible for himself, that we can't solve problems that are not ours to solve, and that worrying does not help. Detachment involves present moment living in the here and now. We allow life to happen instead of forcing and trying to control it. We relinquish regrets over the past and fears about the future. We make the most of each day. And so I think as somebody who feels deeply for all of these like situations and circumstances and relationships and all this stuff, like if I allow myself to attach too much to it, I really start to feel too deeply for the situation. And there's certain situations, obviously, like that's a healthy emotion in certain situations. But like if you're dating, it's not great. Like it doesn't go well, because it's like a curse to have a crush. Like I'll have a crush and I'll be like, well, fuck, this sucks. Like I'd actually rather just not. And so I just like work really hard to not even like, it's not put up walls as much as it's like, okay, like I'm feeling this way, but like this is probably like a little too, like I'm feeling too much in this moment. And like, how do I detach from the outcome? How do I detach from the process? Like, how do I detach from what is like what I think is going to happen, or what like did I say this right, or did I do this right, or whatever, and like just simply detach. I'm not in control of the other person's feelings. I'm not in control of like the problems and how to solve them. Like I can detach and like let things flow freely, and I really am trying to just like have an open hand, trust the process, and again like understand and remember that like the desires of my heart, whether that's like financial or like relationships or marriage or whatever, like those things are planted there because they're there to be filled. And I just have to trust that like that's going to come in due time, and the process is part of the journey. And like, you know, you see things all the time online that's like, what if I told you that in 7 months you were gonna find the love of your life and you could live your best single life for the next 7 months? Like fucking shut up. I'm sorry. But like it's actually like there is truth to it, and it's a good perspective shift of like, yeah, I'm sitting here like panicking that I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life. Not panicking, I mean, I guess. And the reality is like, I'm not. I know I'm not. Like I understand and trust that like that is coming for me in some form or fashion. I have no fucking idea when. It could be this year. It could be in 5 years. I don't really know when, but sitting here crashing out over it, or feeling like so deeply about loneliness, or so deeply about dating, or so like taking these things all so like intensely is very hard. And so I'm working on detaching from the outcomes of those. The other thing that I do is I repeat a lot of mantras to myself, and not like in like a like drum circle kind of fucking weirdo way, but like I have like little sticky notes, and it's like, what is for me will find me. What if it all works out? I am in control of myself and only myself. Just like little things like that to remind me that like it's not like it's not as serious, it's not as intense, it's not as deep as you think. Like, there is all these things like working for me and not against me, and I just have to let them happen. The best thing that I have done that feels very impactful is sitting in front of a mirror. Well, two things. The first thing is like sitting in front of a mirror, and like if I'm feeling like, God, like this feels so intense, I don't like feels overwhelming. Like, why do I feel this so hardcore? I sit in front of a mirror and I like will grab my arms, like actually physically feel my body and start to express like, this feels scary because I am worried that like I'm going to get my heart broken again and I'm going to feel this way or I'm going to do this. And so it allows you to like actually name the feeling. And once you name the feeling and you acknowledge it, it's like not as intimidating. It's not as deep. It's not as scary, because you realize like the source of it is just a wound. Like it's just like you've had something hard happen in your life. And so of course you're going to have walls up. Of course you're going to have fear. Of course you're going to have anxiety about it. And so that, and then the other thing is like, I just like, if I'm feeling like it's something feels like heavy or a lot, like I start to dictate in my phone. Like I'll open a voice memo, or I'll open my notes app and like hit the record button on like a voice. And I just start talking. And it's amazing. Like if you just like turn off your cognitive or your conscious brain and you just like subconsciously just like start talking, you'll be amazed at like the things that you kind of download from your brain and that you can get out there and just be like, this is the feeling, or this is the fear, or this is why I'm, like thinking about, random, but like old people eating alone. It's like that person's probably sad. Like they probably had a partner, or they probably don't have family members or whatever. And like, why is that so sad to me? And it's because I value companionship on a very deep level. And so it's like you just start to talk, and then all of a sudden you've brought awareness to what you're feeling. Awareness is sometimes enough to kind of cancel out all of the heavy feelings. And so anyways, those are some things that help me. I feel like I make myself sound like an absolute psycho in this episode, and maybe I am. YOLO, I don't know. But it's just something that I've really had to come to terms with, is like, I feel very deeply. I never used to. I used to get told all the time by people who shall remain nameless that like I was the ice queen and I had no feelings, and like, how come you're not even crying? How come you're not even sad? And it was like, I had to block that entire part out of my life to function, to parent 5 children almost independently for a lot of time, to function in my marriage, to be a high achiever in my job, like all these things. I didn't know how to multitask feeling and doing. And so I just did. I served, I acted at like, I served, I earned, I proved, I did all these things. And now I'm like, I get to exist. I have worth. I have feelings. They matter. They're important, and they hold value, and they actually make me a dynamic person. I just have to also now learn to live with them and like figure out how to navigate through them. Anyways, that is one of the things that like has been top of mind for me in the last 6 months or so, as I have navigated a kind of traumatic breakup and just like a lot of life changes and all sorts of stuff. So your girl's getting back out there, feeling pretty good about it. I'm feeling a little less intense about it, or I'm working on that. And, I think that life is just like ebbs and flows, and there's different parts of our lives, seasons as they call them in the church. That there's different parts of our lives that feel heavier or more like unbearable. And I think I'm coming out of that part of my life that just felt so fucking hard. Every day was like anxiety and stress and heavy emotions and fear and all these things. And like, I don't have those emotions. I wake up every day and I feel at peace and I feel happy and I feel excited for the future and I feel like I'm in my flow and all these things. And so it's now just like getting my feelings to sort of catch up and regulate. So anyways, thank you guys for hanging out. I will be back every week. I think we'll still stick with Thursday. So I'll be back every single Thursday with a new episode, and we will just go from there. So send me a message if you would like to hear about something specific. Make sure you share this. If you are watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, you like it, all the things. And we're going to be in business, baby.
Thanks for listening to The Summer of Me. You can listen to episodes on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to podcasts, or you can watch on YouTube. Come hang out and follow my chaos on Instagram at Kendra for now. See you next time.